Hello everyone and welcome. We are live and hello to everybody in the chat. I'm glad everybody can make it. One thing just very quickly about the chat. I do my best to read what's going on in the chat, but please understand I do miss them sometimes. I do miss people's comments sometimes, so please don't take it personally. Also, there is about a 20-second delay between when you type something in the chat and when I see it. So if you're screaming at me, don't do that, and you're wondering why I did it anyway, it's because I won't have saw it by the time I see what you just wrote. But hopefully we're gonna have a good time today. This is one of the map sets that I put up last episode, and here I'll show you the map that it has produced so far right here. This is from the SCANsat mod, of course. Actually, this isn't its map, because this is the altimetry scanner, so I have to change the map type to altimetry. There we go. There's what it's done so far. And this came up in the comments to last week's video, and it's something I never quite understood about these maps, and somebody explained it to me. That's really, really super. I just put on the orbit overlay, and this is showing the orbit of this satellite. The blue is its current orbit, and sorry, the blue is the orbit it's going into. The orange part is the past. The blue is the future, the orange is the past, I believe. Yes, it's going down here. But what I never understood were all these little hash marks that are in here, and somebody explained them to me. It's for orienting the probe so that it maps the surface the most efficiently that it can, that it's not just constantly going over the same surface again. And the fact that there's a whole pile of scattered lines like this tells me that this isn't quite ideal yet. So all I have to do is adjust my orbit a little bit by burning prograde or burning retrograde. Now, the periapsis of this orbit is only 71 kilometers, and we're pretty close to apoapsis right now, so I think it'd be best for me to burn prograde, not retrograde. So I'm going to put this onto the prograde vector. Where can I position this so... There we go. And I'm going to turn the thrust down... Oh my gosh, get over here then. I'm going to turn the thrust down quite a lot because I don't think this is going to require a lot of adjustment. But as I burn prograde and adjust my orbit, watch the little hashtags there. So here we go. See how they're changing? And what you're shooting for is to get them to be single hashtags. Just keep going. There they go. And when they start becoming single... Am I getting what I want here? Oh yeah, I'm burning very slowly. Here they come. You want single hashtags, and you want them to alternate blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange. That's apparently how it's supposed to work. Maybe I have this wrong because now I'm going back to the way it was. Uh-oh. Wait, nope. I think I'm getting it. Yeah, now it's coming. See, I think like this is what you're shooting for. So single hashtags, and they alternate blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange, like that, with each one midway between the other one. And this is supposedly a better orbit so that it doesn't just keep going over the same strip all the time. I hope, anyway. Who knows? Maybe what I'm doing is completely wrong, but that's the way I interpreted it. And if somebody knows SCANsat... Oh my gosh, I'm trying to get this to point northwards. There we go. That's what I'm shooting for. That's what I'm shooting for, right there. If somebody knows better, if I got this right, if someone thinks I got this wrong, please, please, please let me know. But I'm thinking that's hopefully a better orbit. Let's do the same thing. Let's get the map view, because I also have a map sat number 2. Let's switch over to that one. We'll do exactly the same thing, and then we'll get into what we're going to be doing today. Today, what I'm thinking of is relay satellites about the moon. That's sort of my goal. And we'll get in and take a look at contracts and stuff in just a little bit. And we got to switch to the right map here. So this is the biome map that's being made by this one. And I'm going to do the exact same thing again. Now let's take a look at our orbit. These are really low orbits. This one I'm pretty close. I'm going to try, at least for now, burning retrograde. I'm close to periapsis right now. And my maybe bring the apoapsis closer to the periapsis. We'll see how this goes. If this turns out to be a mistake, there's quite a lot of fuel in these things, so it's not like it's a disaster if I have to turn around and go the other way. All right, so again, what we're doing is we're going to burn. We're watching those little hashtags. We want single hashtags, but alternating hashtags. At least that. Whoa, I think I actually went a little past. I think I had it there for a second. So I'm just going to go back the other way. Maybe turn this down a little more. That's what I'm thinking is the right way to have it. So these alternating up, down, up, down, up, down like that. We'll see. We'll see how it does. If it turns out to be wrong, it is wrong. In fact, why don't we do a little bit, excuse me, get back to Space Center. We'll do a little bit of time warping and watch how these maps work. The reason I'm going back to the Space Center is because there's some automation that's going on in Kerbalism because there's hard drive issues as it collects data and the hard drive gets full. So I do have some automation. Let me turn on Kerbalism, show you MapSat 1. What's great about Kerbalism actually is you can adjust these things. You don't have to be at the vessel, see? Like I can select, let's go back here, all the satellites I have so far. I can select MapSat 1. I can go over to automation. I can click along here. So right now, I can see that the SCANsat is actually disabled. And if I go to here, it says that if the drive is full, I want you to turn off the SCANsat, and if the drive is empty, I want you to turn on the SCANsat. Actually, might as well leave these. I'm looking at it. The mite and the site experiment is done. There's no sense having that being turned on and off. So that's a way of dealing with the automation component of it. So I suspect, I didn't actually check, MapSat 1, if I go to here, yeah, my hard drive right now is full. That's why it's gone off. And then if I go to MapSat number 2, just check the automation on that. Whoops, that was on what I wanted. Drive full, I want you to turn SCANsat off. Drive empty, I want you to turn the SCANsat on. And let's just check data info here. Right now, if I go to devices, that's where this has to be. Whoop. Right now, again, the SCANsat is empty, and that's probably because, yes, the hard drive's too full. It won't turn itself back on until this gets to 85% available. So what we'll do, just to check, this will be a good check to see if this is working too, is if I open up my same SCANsat map, and we do some time warping here. You can see the hard drive, whoops, the hard drive is starting to empty out as it transmits away the MapSat stuff that it's done. When it gets to 85%, that should be coming on. I somehow seem to have my doubts. Yes, no, it's off again. I don't know. Am I just crazy? What about MapSat number 1? Maybe I don't have this working right. MapSat number 1. Again, we'll go until 85%. And then we should have, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't do it when you're watching. It's like a boiled kettle, a boiling kettle. Maybe it doesn't do it while you're watching. And you have to hit refresh to see your update. Oh, it was off that whole time. Let's time warp some more. Look at data. Are you on? SCANsat's on. Okay. Refresh. There. See, now we're getting the updated map. Let's go to the other one. That one's further along. It's doing a faster job. Time warp. Let's time warp a couple of quite a ways. There we go. Let's see. And then we refresh. There. See, now we're starting to get a map. I don't know. It seems to be where I'm going to kind of leave it to its own devices. How's our biome map doing? Oh, look at that biome map now. It's starting to fill in nicely. Okay. You know what? Maybe I'll do a little bit of time warping again later. One thing I do, I'm going to look at these. These are messages that came up from last time. And the one I actually want to draw attention to is this world's milestones. I did get some milestones here. We have returned to the surface of from orbit, and notice that I lost, well, I didn't lose it. I got minus 9,600 funds than I otherwise would have, and that's because of a strategy I have employed. It's this moon probe strategy. This moon probe strategy gives me, where are we here? Plus 400% funds on milestones gained around the moon, but minus 80% funds on milestones gained around other bodies. So I really got to be careful not to get all of these milestones in around Kerbin when I'm getting hit on them. So I really do have to focus myself on the moon. That's going to be my plan. The other contract I want to take a look at is this one here called To Boldly Go. I have the requirements to do it. And what it does is it's plus 15,000 funds when science is transmitted or recovered from new biomes that you've not gone to before. And the reason why I'm kind of want to get this one going is because I have unlocked last episode the Mite experiment and the Site experiment. Those are both Kerbalism experiments, and both of those are biome specific if you have them at the right altitudes. And I haven't done much in and around the moon, so I'm thinking I want to get those satellites, get them around the moon, and start collecting science from all kinds of different biomes, and that should really rack in the funds. The problem is the administration building is still tier 1, and I can only have one active strategy. And in order to get the administrative building going, or to tier 2, I need 150,000 funds. And a couple of weeks ago, I got really tight for funds, so I don't want to spend that just yet. I want to make some money first. Science, I got 71.2 or 71.8 science, but what I'm saving for, just to show you, I want this one, propulsion systems, for all of these, like the Oscar fuel cans and the Spark and the ant engines and the baguette. I love these little probe parts. And we're going to be doing a lot of probes, so I want to unlock that. That's 90 science, so I'm going to save. So let's talk about contracts. Kind of rambling here a little bit. Let's talk about what contracts we got. I have active. The ones I want to do today are this: put a satellite around Kerbin in the very specific orbit, about 5,400 kilometers by almost 3,000 kilometers. I want to get that one out. I don't know why I picked it up, but I just want to kind of get that one. The other one I'm thinking about is this reach orbit and return uncrewed. I just picked this one up, so just get into an orbit with an uncrewed vessel and bring it back down. What I want to do with this one is get the materials bay and the goo into a high orbit, into high space, and then return those samples. Again, remember with Kerbalism, those two experiments require you to return them to the surface in order to get their science. And that should be a lot of science. So that should be a good science thing so I can unlock that node I'm looking at. I'm also taking a look at this, focusing on the moon, a Mun Impactor. That should be fun. And if I go to here, there were a couple of other contracts that I'm looking at. And they have to do with, let me see here, relays. I want to do some relays, and there is a set up a relay satellite around the moon. So I'm going to grab that one because I want to do that anyway. And I want to grab, I think it's under career evolution and satellites. Nope. I don't want to do a geostationary satellite yet. Again, I want to focus on the moon. Satellites. This is the one I'm looking at. Position a satellite in a specific orbit around the moon. It's an orbit of around 250 kilometers by 204 kilometers about the moon. Inclination of around 10 degrees. What I'm thinking is grabbing that and building a satellite, a series of relays that I can knock off this contract and then finagle it into an orbit that's more specifically for relay orbits, and then I'll get both of those contracts at the same time. So that's sort of the plan. I hope people kind of followed that. I want to do satellite around Kerbin, do an orbit return for the science, do a Mun Impactor, and do some relays. So we got a lot going on. Lots and lots and lots going on. So let's open up our Contracts Plus window, and let's get our first one here. This one. We'll flip that so we see only this one. There it is. So build an unmanned probe that has an antenna and can generate power. Reach this specific orbit. And I always got to read the fine print because I'm really bad at missing these. Like this kind of stuff, make sure you have a too hot thermometer on it. That's all it's going to do. That's it. Not going to do anything else. So let's build this really fast. Grab the hex probe core, because that is my better probe core. It needs to have an antenna. So we'll stick on just a communicator. Probably I need to have, has to have an antenna, has to generate power, and oh, I can use the Communitron 8. Let's get cheap. The Communitron 8 comes from Kerbalism. It's just a smaller version of the Communitron 16, but as this is not going very far, it will function perfectly fine for it. This is really good if you want to transmit data just from orbit in and around Kerbin, and you're not going very far. I think that's why Kerbalism included it. We got to be able to generate power. So electricity, got really boring here. I'm going to put on 6 of these oxstats. That's it. And the only reason I'm going for 6 is because they fit around so nicely around the probe body like that. Okay. Oh, does the internal probe thermometer, Barrett asked, does the internal probe thermometer count towards this thermometer? And the answer to that question is I don't know. As such, I'm not going to chance it. I will put on the regular thermometer. Whoa, not 6 of them, clearly, just 1 of them. Because inside the probe core, if we configure uncrewed experiments, you can put a too hot thermometer right into the probe core, but I'm not going to risk it if this contract will see that or not. So I think it's better to just stick one out. There's no science to collect anyway, or for the thermometer. So all I'm doing right now is making sure that I have done the fine print here. So need oxstat solar panels, need Communitron. Okay, so that takes care of the fine print. The other thing it needs to do is reach a very specific orbit, and I've already worked out the budget for this, that this thing needs about 1,230 meters per second at delta V. So I'm hoping, I'm looking at some of these parts here. If I organize these by mass, oh, that's still my smallest one, okay. These hemispheric ones must be kind of big. Oh, they are big, okay. So we're gonna put on, oh boy. It's always bigger than I think it's going to be. Let's stick on, let's put a, we'll fix that antenna in just a little bit. I'll stick that in there, and stick on my smallest engine, which is the Pug engine. How much is that going to give me? 1,284 meters per second. That's pretty darn close right there. If anything, might be a little bit on the tight side, but let's finish this off. This might be getting very close to a final product. I just want to do this quick. We'll put a no fairing. We'll put a nose cone on top because, quite frankly, that's just going to be super for getting the job done. Let's put that antenna in there. Boop, boop. Do it like that. Just turn it a little. Whoa, which way are you turning it, dude? The red one. How's that look? Maybe slide it in. Well, actually, no. I think it might be good. Want something that'll just peek out, and then when you retract it and close the doors, it will be nicely safed and tucked in there. That's good. Okay. 12. Oh, wait. I just realized something. I didn't have this select. This is a ton of delta V. Silly me. 2,716 meters per second of delta V there. I was starting to think that was... Yeah, okay. So we can knock off fuel, get this payload nice and low. Oh my gosh. Okay, a little bit more. 1446, that is plenty. Okay. Now it's about looking good. That doesn't do much with textures. Got some textures on there. Well, I'm just a fan of these little tanks. Let's go with that. By the way, this is one of the few engines that actually has a little bit of fuel in it. That's why this has so much fuel, because there's like a little bit of fuel in the engine too. All right, so what are we calling this? This is going to be called the Hex 4. Doors may block the sun. Yeah, I'll make sure this is pointed to the sun. Should be fine. Actually, one thing, I might have some science to do. Let's open up the science archive from Kerbalism and do the configure experiments. If there's science available, I might as well get it. I know the telemetry report I've done in high space. I know the thermometer's been done, the Geiger counter's been done. The light experiment, I think, has been done in high space, yes. The might experiment, whoops. The might experiment has only been done, is being done still. There's still some to collect in low space, but not in high space. And in high space, it is not biome specific. So this would be a good candidate to run that. And is there another experiment? There's also the site experiment, but if I'm not mistaken, the site experiment in high space is biome specific. Let me just make sure. Oh, you need to put it into an inclined orbit, and this is not going into an inclined orbit. So we will do the might experiment. The site experiment would not be appropriate for this thing. Now let's just very quickly take, so this is going to be, turn this to none. We'll do the might experiment. It requires 0.085 units of electric charge per second. Runs for 12 minutes. I really don't see this is going to be a problem. You know what I might do? I might just switch out this antenna. Because I'm pretty sure the Communitron, got too many windows here. The Communitron has a quicker antenna. Transmits at 2.20 kilobytes per second. This one is 1.5 kilobytes per second, but any speed I think is good to have. Oops. All right. So we'll just do a quick antenna change. There we go. I'm happy with that. Will the doors fit behind? Close. Will that close? Retract the antenna. Close. Yep. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I think electrically we're fine. Here, let's turn the might to waiting. I think electrically this is fine. Yeah, 1.4, we're producing 1.4. Oh yeah, or 0.14 units of electric charge per second. Easy with the OXATs, which do 0.3 each. Even if only some of them are going to be exposed, it's going to be fine. I should probably sneak on a battery. Just like that. And then I'll sneak that thermometer back in there. Thermometer's not going to do anything. It's just there for the contract requirement. And because, you know what? I think it's going to be fine. I'm going to just leave it like that. 1,420 meters per second of delta V. Action groups. At 1, we'll open up the doors, and we'll toggle on that antenna. There we go. Now let's close the doors. All right, now all we need to do is get this thing into orbit. And I'm going to try and see if we can start building some boosters that are keepers. Ones that are worth kind of hanging on to. So far I've been just kind of slapping these boosters together. But I want to try and build something that slowly getting more and better stuff. Let's stick a swivel engine on the bottom of this. That's almost got it. Still a lot of thrust to weight ratio, so it doesn't need much more. I'm aiming for about 3,600 meters per second at delta V. That's pretty darn close. You know what? Let's just sneak in this one. There. That's now plenty. Put on some small tail fins. Like that for some additional stability. And what I think I will do is stick in some reaction wheels. Now the only they just help so much with the flight. The only reaction wheels I have, I'm going to put some right here. But the only ones I have are these little ones. And I mean, I could do that, and then do some, you know, translate this tank up to hide that. But I've always found that maybe it's been fixed, but I find the drag model that KSP has gets messed up when I do that. So instead I'm going to just put this little cargo bay in here just to house the, you know what I might just do? Why not, while I got all this room, put 2 of them in there. There we go. Look at that. And then that keeps everything streamlined. Ooh, that took away a lot on the delta V front. Okay. Let's do this then. There we go. That's plenty. And we'll sort of pretty this up a bit. Ooh, I like the dark. Do that, and then above this go white. Why not? Interesting how, okay, that's fine. Launch clamps. I'm thinking that's pretty good. I think so. Let's adjust the thrust on this. With this booster, if it works out well for me, if it flies fine, I might just keep this little booster as, like, you know, for putting up small payloads. Nothing wrong with keeping it simple. I'm ready to give this a go. So we're going to call, this is the Hex 4, I've already called it that. We're going to go in using the KRASH simulation system. And we're just going to do a practice, make sure this thing flies, because once I do it outside of that simulation, all bets are off. If it crashes, it crashes, and I would like to minimize how much crashing happens. So this is going to be our test. There, and yeah, launch. Let's go. Or get this up again about 50 meters a second or so. Knock that over. The contract does require a inclination of 0 for the final orbit. At least I'm pretty sure it does. I should maybe check that, but I'm pretty sure it did. Let's check that. Inclination of 0. So I definitely want to go into a low inclination parking orbit. So I'm right now right on a heading of 90, so that's perfect. I'm very happy with that. Yeah, it is kind of annoying that the clamps count as mass and parts. The fact that you just leave them behind too. Let's stop our falling over for just a little bit. Okay, now we can resume our falling over. And I could be reducing my thrust right now, but I'm not going to because I want to get this over with quickly. I mean, time is money literally right now. The cost of this simulation is just kicking up. So I'm just going to keep going like this until I hit 100 kilometers, or 180 kilometers on the apoapsis. I don't know why I picked 80 a long time ago is what I like. Oh, look at all the flames. Look at all the flames. There we go. Just cut my throttle. Time warp up there. And again, all this is about is making sure that this thing's capable of doing orbit. So if I can do this in a haphazard, sloppy, lazy way, I should be able to do it in a good way. Okay. Let's get right up to apoapsis. There is almost 1,300 meters per second of delta V left. My speed is over 1,100 meters per second, so 1,300, 1,100, 2,400. That's more velocity than I need to achieve an orbit. So this thing should be ducky. So let's terminate the simulation. Yep. Let's do this. Yeah, Rob DeVos mentions you get, and he's absolutely right, you do get contracts to change the orbits of vessels, so it's not a bad idea to leave more in there than, more fuel in there than you need, which I can't disagree with. I just hate those contracts, so I'm probably just not going to take them. If it comes up that it wants me to move this vessel somewhere else, this satellite somewhere else, I'm just going to say, nah, forget it. Because you never know how much you're going to need because you don't know what that contract's going to say. And that just bugs me. I'm not someone who does well with unknowns and random variables. I like to control my variables. Speaking of which, I never did check the staging there. Okay, let's do this. Boom. We are off. We are off. We are off. We are off. And this is just going to be a repeat. And knocking this over. And there we go. Still heading exactly 90 degrees. That's just great. This thing tracks really well. I like it. I'm a big fan of just very simple little rockets. Look at the sunrise and how pretty that is with the cloud. Oh, it's a sunset, isn't it? The sun's back there. I think. I don't know. Falling over a little bit too quick, so we'll just... There we go. All right. We are off. This is flying very, very well. Again, probably falling over a little bit too quickly, so I'm just going to take it off the lock to prograde for a moment, then put it back on again. And we can probably start reducing the throttle a little bit. Again, what I'm really looking at, a lot of people get really freaked out by, especially when they see flames. But I think KSP probably overdoes all that a little bit. What I'm really looking at is just my time to apoapsis and keeping that below a minute. Or a little bit below. You don't have to be, I'm not going to get, you know what, I'm not going to get super pedantic. I'm going to leave it right here. Let that go like that for a bit. And what we get. There we go. And we'll let this go until we get our apoapsis to 80 kilometers. Hope everybody's day has been going well. Mine's been a little bit of an adventure. while we're watching this, I'll talk to you about my adventure. It's been a cat adventure. One of my cats had an abscess that the vet lanced a couple of days ago. And we got him home yesterday, and it's right on his neck, and it was just a gore fest, and it was disgusting. And then just maybe about an hour and a half before this stream was set to start, we noticed he was scratching at it and starting to tear it open. So now he's wearing the cone of shame. I had to run out to the pet store and get him myself one of them cones. And yeah, there's nothing more pathetic than an animal with the cone of shame on it. All right. I'm just going to let this keep going like this. Why not? Why not indeed? As we keep increasing our velocity. Here we can. A little bit of time warping. I'm usually a little nervous doing time warping while under thrust. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe I shouldn't be. Okay, and 80 kilometers. Cut. A little slow on that there. And we'll time warp up until we're in space. Open up our doors. And there goes our antenna too. Okay, we're going to circularize. We're going to get ourselves 2 apoapsis. We don't have to do too much of a burn. Our periapsis is at negative 160 kilometers. Okay, again, I love the fact that you can now do this all from without going to map view. Just noticing while I'm doing this, I love the shadow that's underneath these clouds on the surface. That looks nice. A little more thrust. Nope, that's too much thrust. Gotta get ourselves closer. Okay. All right, there we go. It's 84-ish by 84-ish. I think that's pretty good. Let's make sure our solar panels do have a little bit of exposure because you have to sort of aim them with the little window here. Whoop. Yeah, that should be good. That should be good enough. Okay, so what we need to do, here's our orbit right here that we got to get into, this sort of elliptical orbit, but inclination of 0. One thing though, let me bring this up, is on here it says there's an argument of periapsis of 98.1 degrees. You don't have to really understand that number and what it's telling you, but what it is telling you is they want the periapsis to be right here and nowhere else. So I'm going to actually do a maneuver node and first bring the apoapsis of my transfer right up to where it's supposed to be. So this is supposed to be 2,956 kilometers. So let's get this in the right 2,956, and clearly the timing of it is not right where it is either. It's got to be more this way. 2,956. See, it's got to come back. I want to put that right on the target orbit periapsis and get that pretty darn close. 56.407. I'm not going to get it that. Oh, I'm doing it the wrong way. 56.409. Wow. Okay, so there we go. Now we got a maneuver to aim at. Okay. And we will time warp to that. Here, let's put this on this view. And True Life has a question. I have a question. How do we complete the survey contracts on Kerbin without spending an hour flying from one side of the world to the other? That's a very good question. If you have an answer, let me know. I mean, I suppose you could build a suborbital plane that can just do the hop, but that, of course, is going to be for later in the tech tree, and usually you get those contracts pretty early that you want to get them. So the answer to that question is no, you just got to fly around the planet, you know, time warp as best you can, I suppose. Those contracts are a bit of a pain. Actually, I hate the contracts, those Kerbin survey contracts where you have to be above an altitude, and the altitude is typically around like 18 kilometers. And it's like, with early tech, you're not going to be able to do that easily with a plane. You can do kind of tricks with rocket engines and stuff, but they're a royal pain in the back end to do, much more than they seem to be on paper. I hope people know which ones I'm talking about. Those contracts that say, boom, there we go. Those contracts that say, you know, do a survey over this waypoint, but you got to be over 18 kilometers in height, and you get them really early typically, and they're terrible. Okay, I got to pay attention to what I'm doing here. 2,556. Oh wait, I forgot. Kerbalism limits your ignitions. I can't do that silly little puffs on the engine thing. I gotta be careful. Still got 14 ignitions left, so stop being a dork. 2,000. What do I got? 2,956. Oh my gosh, I was doing that way too early. 900. I reduced that too little. Yeah, you got to be careful with turning the engine on and off with Kerbalism. Oh, I hit Z instead of poop. I hit Z instead of X. 13 ignitions left. 956. You don't have to be precise either with this. I'm sure I'm actually within enough of a range for this. So maybe I shouldn't get too finagly. There. Going with that. Put that on the normal, on the north vector. Make sure the solar panels has some nice exposure. And again, we'll make a maneuver up here. We'll get this one over with. So maneuver right up here at periapsis, and this of course is just going to be to match the orbit that's in red. And we need our apoapsis to be what now? 5,430. 5,430. And I'm sure that's close enough. I'm sure that's close enough as I keep playing with it. I gotta learn not to be so particular about these things all the time. Okay, put that thrust right back up again. Okay, let's get out there. Woo! Nicey nice. Put it on the prograde vector. Put that contract over here. And when I do this burn, I'm actually going to watch for this to go green more than I'm going to watch for anything else. Let's get a little closer. Okay, this should be it. This should fulfill the contract. Nice, simple one to start this all off with. 2, 1, and go. I have a huge thrust to weight ratio right now. Everything's shaking. That's okay. Okay, we're going to reduce the thrust. And I'm just waiting there. It's just gone green. I don't have to wait for the maneuver to end. And then I got to maintain stability for 10 seconds, which means do nothing. Guess that's just your test. You actually have the orbit. And there we go. Contract complete. Nicey nice. Easy peasy. Close that off. We should also be collecting science up here. The MITE experiment should be running. Should be. Am I collecting data? I'm not. Why are we not? Is this not on? Unmet. Oh my gosh. Is this one that requires... Okay. I suspect. Shoot. Let's open up. I think I saw something about needing to be in an... Did I put the wrong... No, I didn't put the wrong one on. The MITE experiment's the one that requires... an inclination. It's the site experiment that doesn't. I got the two mixed up. Okay, so the site experiment isn't going to work. That's fine. Contract was the... We'll get it some other time. So yeah, I needed that to be in an inclined orbit. I thought it was the other experiment that required that. Okie dokie. Well, this is just going to sit up here in its nice little orbit. Let's get ourselves back to the Space Center. Knock off our next one. Oh boy. Yeah, nope, not 970-degree inclination. You're right, John. I did see your comment, John, back when I was in the VAB, but I thought it was in reference to when I was looking at the other Kerbalism experiment. But I got them mixed up. No big deal. I mean, if I didn't do that, I would have just put nothing on it, so it's all good. All right, next contract is Orbit and Return. Right here. Let's get that ready. Do love this contracts plus window. So all we got to do is put something in orbit and bring it back safely. But what I'm thinking, I had this Hex 3. This fella right here. Let's take off this whole... There. Let's delete the fairing for now. And you can see the Hex 3 has, I did this, was it last week or the week before? I can't remember now, but it has a Science Junior on it, and it has a Mystery Goo on it, and I need to collect the Science Junior and a Mystery Goo in high space, but they collect samples, and what you need to do is get those samples back down to the surface, so this is a good contract for this mission. So what it's got here is the experimental storage unit. I can use that to store the results of these two experiments. And then it'll disengage. There's a heat shield here, a parachute, and then some fins to try and, I don't know, you know, dart it. Have it dart into, you know what I might just do with these fins? I'm just looking at them. Why don't I put them on a three-way? I was just thinking they're kind of like a dart. Here, let's fix this right up. The idea is to make this kind of dart-like. There we go. Upside down. But what about if I went three-way symmetry? Maybe, because they didn't seem to work so great. Maybe three-way symmetry will make them work a little better. I don't know. Put them right in, like that. And then make them as high as they can. At least high enough that they don't look stupid. There. There we go. That looks more dart-like. We'll see if that helps as it goes back through the atmosphere the wrong way. Okay, so again, I do have a budget for this one. It needs to get into high space, and so my budget for this is 480 meters per second. And oh my gosh, I don't even have to modify this. It's already at way over that. So what we're going to do, don't care about the Atmo, is do the same thing. I'm going to take out a whole ton of fuel. 420. Can I, like, do this? Just make that empty? Yeah, that's still enough. 539. Here, what we're going to do, we're going to lose this completely. Just the fuel that's in the little plug engine's enough. 569 meters per second. We're going to reduce this thrust limiter right now because the thrust is pretty silly. There we go. There's our dude. So, this is going to be the What am I up to? 5? Just did a 4, did I not? 5? Will that let me save that? Yep. Let's rebuild the fairing. You reuse stuff. Reuse stuff. Makes things go quick. Boom. 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 I want no experiments on here. Let's just check this to make sure. It has a telemetry report. Let's take that off. It does save you a bit of weight. There we go. Nicey nice. And also with this thing too, because the materials bay in particular uses a ton of electricity. And so what's on here is a fuel cell that I'll have to run while this thing is running, and enough hydrogen and oxygen to run the fuel cell for enough time to run the mystery goo experiment. These solar panels are on here just kind of as a backup. And they look, I don't know, I always like solar panels all the way around a probe body, so that's what they're there for. Okay, so what I'm thinking, because I think I'm happy with this. Let's bring up my previous one that I did. That was the Hex 4. Load that. And I want to save this booster. So we're going to go to Subassemblies. And this will hopefully save me some time down the road. We're going to make the pug the root part. And we're going to grab that, and we're going to chuck that into here. And we're going to call this the Swivel 1 Booster. And normally I work out how much payload this thing can carry into low Kerbin orbit. Maybe I'll do that in just a little bit, but right now I just want to see if this is going to work for me for this rocket. So back comes the Hex 5, and now we'll just grab this booster. Boom. And how does that do for Delta V? It's pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. Let's just make sure of a couple of things here. That's good, that's good. Oh, the engines are all messed up. That makes more sense. Now, it doesn't have enough gumption. So what we're going to do, 3,371 meters per second in this booster. So what we're going to do is we're going to just, here, let's bring the root part back to the probe body. Okay, and then take this off. Whoops. Did I do something wrong? Root part, probe body. There we go. Take this off. We'll slide in another fuel can. Because remember, there was a ton of thrust on the that this had available, so I can still add more fuel. There, that's enough now. Little bit tight, little bit wimpy though on fuel. I could stick some SRBs on the side of it. That'll fix that up. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need to add some SRBs. That's okay. Okay, we're gonna bring this right down. Very little. I want to have the. Whoop. This is going to become an upper stage engine. I want it to have more thrust than what it has right now. Thrust of 1.99, that's pretty decent. I can live with that. Good with that. And what we're just going to do is the simple fix. Grab a couple of these. I think just 2 of them are going to be enough. And a couple of hammer boosters. There we go. What's that bring the Delta V to? We're in a funny order, aren't we? There. Oh, no. Did that wrong. There we go. 3870, so easy peasy now. Do that. I got struts now, which is, I think, kind of interesting. I have a different tech tree. It's the probe before crude tech tree. Gives you struts pretty early, which is nice. Do I have... No. I was looking to see if I have Sepratron, but nope. Okay. And what we're going to do, just slide these down just a little bit. There we go. That should be a good rocket for me. There. There. So that's why I like to keep the old boosters. Makes this all go quite a lot quicker. We can play around with stripe color. Sure. Alright, we need a lower thrust to weight ratio at launch, but other than that, I think this thing is ready to go. Let's take a look at the chat and see if anybody's noticing things that I am really overlooking. I'm not, nothing's jumping out at me. Alright, I'm actually kind of inclined to just kind of go with this. Delta V is actually through the roof, but that's okay. Maybe take out a little bit. Might not be bad. I don't know why sometimes I get... No, you know what? Let's not fool around. Let's just do this. Okay, staging. Is it sensible? It is sensible. Okay, so... Yep, let's do it. And I'm not... No simulation. Let's just do it. Life on the edge. Let's go, let's go, let's go. If the SRB explodes, the rocket will fall over and be lost. That's absolutely true. Kerbalism can give you, every once in a while, a launch failure, where one of these SRBs will just fail to ignite, and if one of them goes and the other one doesn't, well, you can fill in the rest on how that's all going to go, but we're going to go for it anyway. So here's our contract. Then we just have to get into orbit and then come back down, but we are going to go for a, let's call it a 300, a little over 250 kilometer orbit. So I think this is all ready to go. So let's do it. Oh no! You jinxed me, John. Oh, I wasn't watching close enough, but I think that was exactly what you're talking about. Oh boy, that could have gone so much worse. I believe one of those engines just didn't ignite. I don't think it got fouled up. I think one of them just didn't ignite or something. Let's get back. Let's get to the Space Center because we got to clean up this mess. Oh boy, isn't that fun? It could have been, let's not be super quick to blame Kerbalism just yet. It could have been me. Certainly couldn't have been me, but what we'll do first is we'll recover this disaster. Okay, everything seems to be gone now. Let's go back in here. Let's just make super duper sure that that wasn't something dumb on my part. Like, that thrust is at 60.5. That thrust is at 60.5. The staging is all sensible. So I think that was just a random thing that just happened. We lost that one, but we got another one. So we can do it again. Just go? Yeah, let's just go. Just gonna go. All right. TZ. now I'm gun shy. Let's try this. This is the, well, we'll call it the 5B later. And what the heck? Okay, so there's something clearly, no, the same thing happened. The exact same thing happened. That time I saw the yellow. Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. That time I saw the yellow that was on the SRB. So it failed again. Now that's not supposed to happen as often as that. Now it's happened twice in a row with the same thing. Oh my gosh. Let's recover. Wow, this one's putting up a fight, everybody. Okay. What we're gonna do, because I see some comments coming in. Let's not reduce. I'm very used to just punching the launch clamp, but let's actually do it this way. This will be safer. And actually, let's just simulate this one. So we're gonna fire off the SRBs, but not launch clamps are on a separate stage. I've never had this happen so much though. Maybe a slight alteration. It's the exact same rocket. That could be. Maybe, you know, I don't know. Okay, so let's see. Let's hit the space bar. Are they both going? Can't tell. I don't see this one highlighted, so... There we go. See? Okay. Terminate. Launch. This is the one. Okay, we're going to do it this time. Okay, SAS on, throttle up. Come on, this one's the one. Okay. Oh, wait, let's do this staging thing again. There. And go and go. Yay! That was a lot of work. We lost 2 of these things. Thankfully, they did no more damage than what we saw. Like they didn't do any damage to the launch pads, what I'm trying to say. The only lost cost is the loss of the rockets. Actually, a lot of the rocket got recovered, so I don't know. I don't think I lost too much funds and all that stuff. Okay, we're about to lose those SRBs. And I never tested this, so hopefully this will all go clean. There we go. Nicey nice. Good rocket. Okay. Are we going to be well behaved now? Not be a big dork? You're welcome. I'm sorry, is it Bedirum? The dude? For the relay network video that I did? Yes, thank you very... I actually have another one that I'm building because I'm not another tutorial video on relay networks. I'm in the middle of making it right now. So I'm hoping it will be... Not super happy with that one, but I'm hoping the next one will be a little better. So, updates on it. So I just reduced throttle again. Again, I'm not going to completely play with the throttle, but we'll reduce it a little bit. Let this keep going up. And what we're going to do is, I want to end up in a 250 by, well, a little more than 250 by 250 orbit. So actually, I'm going to let this keep burning until my apoapsis get around, I don't know, I'm going to call it around 270 kilometers, I think. We'll let this keep going. Here, let's put on a little bit of time warp, a little bit of physicsy warp. Alright, I might lose the fairings pretty soon, considering we're just still under thrust. So fairings, ahoy! Ugh. That was a little sketchy. Of course, I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to fairings, because if I left it on the sort of confetti-style deploy, I wouldn't have this problem. But they seem to come off cleanly, so I'm okay. All right. We are at 90 kilometers on the apoapsis. Okay, we're climbing quickly now. Take the time warp off. And almost at 200 kilometers. And, oh, 283. Okay, let's get up there. And let's see, about a minute there, let it get back on the prograde. Oh, we're in the night. You can see the lights of Kerbin below us. Can't wait till I start unlocking lights and things. Alright, just let it get really close to apoapsis because we do not have to bring up our periapsis too much. Even a little closer. Oh, I keep forgetting about ignition. Stop being that way. You know, in my other Let's Play, I have KOS, and KOS takes care of all this for me, and then I don't get, you know, just these old habits of turning off and on the thrust is going to burn me one day. Oh, ran out of fuel. That's okay. Lots in this one. Oh, of course I ran out of fuel because I was thinking of the Delta V. There we go. We're all in high space now. I was thinking of the Delta V to get into a low orbit about Kerbin, not this high space orbit around Kerbin. So it makes perfect sense that booster ran out of juice. Okay, what we're going to do is just very quickly, I'm just going to kind of put this on north, but just let's get to the light because I hate being in the dark. I know you folks can't see it very well. And I don't want to turn the ambient light up too much because I find, I don't know, everything looks really flat when you do that. There we go. Now we can see what's going on. So what we want to do is we're going to start up our fuel cell. We're going to start up our materials bay, and we're going to start up our mystery goo. So they're both doing their thing, and this thing is generating electricity, so we should have, yeah, our electricity says perpetual. Oh, it keeps kind of changing, but it doesn't seem to be scary. Okay, and the materials bay takes about, does it tell me here how long it's going to take? No, so we'll click on it here. It's going to take about another 20 minutes, so we'll time warp that away. And it's busy collecting samples and gaining mass as it does this as well. You can see the mass creeping up. It's not a lot of mass, though. Where it's getting the mass from, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense, but that's okay. Okay. So, Science Junior is now done. Mystery Goo is also done. We want to turn off our fuel cell. We don't need that anymore. So stop fuel cell. We can just use the solar panels now. We want to transfer all of our data here. So now if we take a look here, you can see, I like the way it highlights where this is being stored. So you can be sure, oh, our mystery goo. Transfer data here. There we go. Now it's all up there. Not sure what happened with that. Okay, and now we need to get this back down to the surface, and we might as well aim for the ocean out in front of the KSC. We're right over it right now, so let's time warp around. Oh, has the flags falling down thing been fixed? Just looking at the comments here on in the chat. That would be certainly sweet. Okay, we're going to stop right around here. Put this on retrograde. I do have trajectories installed. So let's show the trajectory. And yeah, that's all I need to do. The descent is going to be in a retrograde direction. Yep. So we'll turn that off. And I'll show you how Trajectories works. It's kind of neat. It's not crucial for this one, but when you're trying to land in a specific spot, it's just awesome. But once this periapsis hits the atmosphere, you'll see how Trajectories works. Where are we at? 100. There it is. See the... Whoa! Okay, yep. A little more. Now, unfortunately, this is based upon the current configuration of this ship, and I've not staged it, so it might not be completely accurate. But what it's doing for me is showing me what its predicted path will be, taking into account aerodynamics and putting a little X cross here saying where it thinks my landing spot will be. I got a feeling it's actually going to be short of that, because as soon as I ditch all of this stuff, I've also ditched most of the mass, and so I think this thing will slow down more quickly than Trajectories thinks it will. But that's okay. All right, that's a pretty view. Let's go to the atmosphere. Okay, we'll stage away all of that stuff. Put this onto retrograde. Surface. Parachute is armed. That is good. I never tested this falling down from as high an altitude as I just did. So hopefully this won't turn into being a mistake. We're gonna find out. And we're just going to keep this locked on the surface retrograde vector. The reaction wheels in the probe body's taking care of that for me, but that should keep this profile nice. And even though it'd be nicer to have a bit of a bigger heat shield, I think. Yeah, here's where it gets scary. Okay, so we're getting some temperature gauges, but those are on the fins. The fins can blow up. I don't care about the fins. I mean, they're nice to have, but they're not a must-have. It's not like if the parachute blows up. And come on, hang on. I saw a little bit of jiggle-jaggling happening there. Not sure why. Oh, I know why, because I've lost... No, I don't know why. Don't know why there was some... You know what? Let's take the time warp off. It's making me a little nervous. This trajectory, yeah, see how Trajectories has updated its prediction now. It was around here. Now it's here. That's okay. That's why I stopped a little. I think this is going to be fine. I think we're good. This is like a dart from God. God is playing lawn darts. Why don't I use the return capsule? You mean the crewed return capsule? Rob, is that what you're referring to? The crewed one? I don't have a crewed return capsule yet. This is pros before crew, so I don't have that. I think this is the only thing I have that actually stores science other than the science equipment. Oh, I guess I can store data in the probe bodies. Okay, that went fine. Yep, everything is coming up great. This should be a good chunk of science. We'll check where I'm at with science when this is all said and done. Okay. Yay, it didn't blow up this time. Had a lot of issues getting off the pad. Coming back once that all happened seemed to be fine. Oh, it's falling so slowly. I am at 4 times speed. I do not think Kerbalism can make parachutes fail. Thank goodness. There we go. And don't... Oh, it's sinking. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Whatever. I got it. Yeah, probe bodies I think can fail in Kerbalism's. Engines for sure can fail. I think maybe solar panels? I'm not even 100% sure on that one now. All right, so we are at 85 science. I need to be at 90. I need to be at 90 to get the... Oh, wait, no, I'm not. That's what I got. I got 121 science. 121 science for me, and that's going to give me propulsion systems, all kinds of little engines and fuel tanks and everything else that makes me a happy camper. So I'm grabbing that one right now. As well, we have 381,000 Kerb bucks, so I feel good. Upgrading the administrative building to tier 2. I cannot believe this is always the last thing that I upgrade in my regular games, and now it's like one of the earlier things I'm upgrading. And that allows me to get what I was looking at before, to boldly go. Let's grab that one. So now every time, yeah, I'm happy with that. Every time I get science from a different biome, I get an extra 15,000 Kerb bucks. And I have very little science from about the moon. So that makes me happy. Okay, let's warp to sunrise. Let's get that out of the way. And then what I think I wants to do, let's take a look at, oh, we still got, what do we got here? Contract complete. That was for the orbit insertion. I got a new strategy. Stagnated research. Oh, okay. A new one's become available. I'll have to look at that sometime. And that's the orbit and return one. Okay. And oh, multispectral scan of Kerbin is now done. That's the biome scan. That means it scanned, I think, at least 75% of the planet. Where is that map? There. Look at that. Here, it's refreshing it. Oh, it's getting better and better all the time. Just little spaces in here left. How's our telemetry one doing? Or our altimeter one? Doing good. Doing good. Still got some missing spots in there, but looking fine. Looking fine. So that's all coming from SCANsat. Nicey nice. Okay. Mun Impactor time. Mun Impactor time. And I'm looking, you know, my original plan here was to do those relay satellites, but I'm looking at the time. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I got me a feeling that my Mun Impactor might be the last one I do. So you know what I'll do? Now that I got this here, let me show you how I'm going to save this booster, because this is, I think, another nice booster configuration for me. And I'll show you how to work out how much payload your booster can carry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the decoupler the root part. I'm going to take off the whole payload, chuck that away. And what I'm going to do is get my largest fuel tank that I have. Let's arrange these in mass. I want the biggest one I got. I got a feeling there's going to be a few of these. And then I'm going to turn this off, the fuel, because I don't want the... This is just a block of concrete as far as I'm concerned. All this is about is adding mass to represent a payload. And I'm just going to keep adding mass until my delta V... Oh my gosh, I need some heavier things. Until my delta V gets to about 3,600 meters per second. I cannot believe I am adding as much as this. I need bigger fuel cans. Oh, this is redonkulous. Don't I have heavy... I gotta... This thing weighs a quarter ton. Is that literally the heaviest thing I possess? It just might be. That is silly. What if I arrange these by mass? This is 1.5 tons. Okay, here's what we'll do for mass. Usually I put on fuel cans. I just don't have very heavy fuel cans. So I'm going to take a bunch of swivel engines and just stack them. So again, this is just about adding mass. Let's tell when probes before crew. Can I put these on? No, it won't let me put them on radially. Clearly this is never meant to fly. Oh my gosh. All I want to do is get an idea of how much this can't be right. There's no way this is... No, this isn't right. This is just not right. There's no way. Here. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but there's no way what's going on right now is right. Okay, let's see this. This goes here. No. Boom. Okay, throw that engine up here. This should be bringing down the delta V of this thing. Yes. Okay, you know what? I think I'm going to stop with this because something's not really making sense, because there's no way this booster is able to lift as heavy a thing as this. I was going to do a demonstration of something, but how heavy is this payload? Yeah. This payload here is about 1.4 tons. Okay, I'm going to stop with what I'm doing. I'm just going to chuck it in. I'll try and figure out what was going on with that. Try putting the decoupler below the mass in the staging sequence. Okay, let me try this again. This comes off. This is my decoupler. Oh, could it have been just stupidity as to where that decoupler is? Put that on. Yes, now the decoupler goes there. Okay, I'm going to go back to fuel cans. So I shouldn't have to add as much mass as this. So put that on. There's our mass. Okay. Oh, now it's making sense. Okay, there was obviously something going on with the state. Let's go back to the fuel can. So I can see now putting this on has decreased my delta V. Oh, turn. Why does turning this off? That is absolutely weird. When I turn this off, it messes up that delta V. Oh, but not down here. So engineers getting confused. This is not. Okay, whatever. So let's get back to what I was doing. I'm looking at this delta V. A little over 3,600 meters per second is a nice comfortable budget for getting into a low orbit. So what I can do now that I've put a payload on here with a mass that gets me a delta V of a little over 3,600 meters per second is I can select that as the root part, take this off, and then take a look at the engineers tab, and this is 1.65 tons. So now what I can do is go to my subassemblies, drag that in, give it a name. This is the swivel 1-R for radial hammer 2. And it has a payload to LKO of 1.65 tons. So the idea of this is, now if I build something and I see the payload is 1.65 tons or less, I know I can slap this booster on and it should work fine. That, for whatever reason, went very strangely. I don't know why it won't let me. Okay, let's just exit and leave again, because that thing's been... So 1.11.1 just launched. Excellent. There's a lot of little funky bugs in 1.11, so I'll definitely be doing that upgrade before next week. Okay. So what we want to do is build ourselves a Mun Impactor. That is going to be the plan. This is going to be an exceedingly simple craft. All we got to do, I believe, is crash into the moon. Where is it? Impact the moon uncrewed. Let's just really look at this whoops. Okay, what goes on here? Back. Impact the moon. Back to here. There it is. Let's make sure there's no fine print to mess us up. I notice it's spelling moon with the double O's. What's that all about? Okay. Alright, you're going to the moon. We're going to enclose you into here because I think this is really the simplest way to deal with this. I'm not even going to bother with science. I don't think I need... I'm not going to do with science. We're going to make the next thing that goes to the moon. Something that's in orbit is going to be all about science. So we're going to configure this to have no science. This is just to fulfill this contract. Put a nose cone on. Actually, wait. I've got... Oh my silly goodness. I've just unloaded a whole stack of new parts. Like, look at this. This is from... this is the Oscar A liquid fuel tank. Half the size of an Oscar B. And this is the Oscar C, which is an Oscar B times 2. And this is the Oscar O hemispherical... Look at all these wonderful little fuel tanks. I gotta use me some of those. Okay. Anyway. All this is gonna do is go to the moon and hit it. Easiest contract ever. So I'm not gonna be... This isn't gonna be really complicated. This is gonna be super simple. We're gonna put a Communitron on top. I really think I can get away with what is now my smallest fuel can. It is the Oscar A fuel can. There. Oh, let's put a battery under there too. This isn't going to collect any science. I really don't think there's much science to collect until I put something in an orbit. I'm going to take my smallest engine, which is the little ant engine. And that's 723 meters per second. In order to hit the moon, I really just have to get there. And so the budget for that is just going to be around 860. So it does need a little bit more. So I might need to go with the Oscar B. I'm a big fan, a big fan of little rockets. That's 2,000. Oh, I was looking at... Let's put this back. I think I was looking at the... Not the vacuum. 723. Wow, what a huge difference to go to the... What if I put on 2 of these? I know these are monopropellant. Not rotating that. For looksies, we'll do it that way. But we have the ability to edit these tanks. What if I took out the monopropellant and added in... Let's add a new tank. Liquid chemicals, which I think is... Oh, I got me a feeling. I think I can't do it because I think... Let's do this again. Edit the tanks. It's got monopropellant in it right now. I should really spend some time playing with this. I want to change that to liquid fuel. And then can I add on oxidizer? Oh, this plus button, add a new tank. I don't think it's going to let me. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, forget it. I was hoping to make those into liquid fuel and oxidizer. Oh, well, you know what I could do? What if... Sorry, I'm getting really carried away. That. Remove the symmetry. Take that one. Edit the tank. Make it into liquid fuel. Edit the other one. Close. Make that one into oxidizer. I have no idea if that's even balanced. Oh, it doesn't put any in there. But then, fill that up. Fill that up. Oh, I'm noticing it's the same number. I think this is a bad idea. This is a dumb idea. Okay. Dumb idea. Dumb idea. Make life simpler. How much liquid fuel? I don't know. Let's put on just an Oscar B. I think it's twice. Yeah, it's twice the mass of the Oscar A. Stick that on. That's just so much fuel, but we'll just take some out. That should do it. That's all she needs. Thrust to weight's fine. Okay. I don't think I'm missing anything because I just want to hit the moon with as cheapest thing as I got. So this thing's got 276 kilograms. So I'm going to grab this booster. And what we're going to do is just modify it ever so slightly to put a fairing around it. Decoupler. There's the small decoupler. The 1.25 meter fairing. Build that up. Stick that underneath. There you go. Bob's your uncle. That has got more fuel in it than it's ever going to need. Use the thrust here a little bit. There we go. Insto Mun Impactor. So this one's now, I think I'm up to, let's call this one Munar 2 because it's our second thing to go to the moon. Am I right? Yep. And let me save that. Press max, says John. Oh, okay, let me go back to that. I'm seeing now comments looking at the select tank first, then press max. Okay, let's see. I haven't played with these too much. So select a tank, edit it. Max. But what you need is to change that to liquid fuel. Max. Is that what Phil? Okay, I gotta play with this. I'm sorry, and I understand people in the chat are trying to help me out, but I got me a feeling that doing that with a 20-second delay is just gonna be wasting time for everybody, so I'm just gonna kind of go with this. I think I'm just gonna fly this thing just the way it is. Let's do it. Munar 2, gonna hit the moon. Hitting the moon with Munar 2. And I think this mission's gonna end it. I really do. I think we're gonna. I think we're gonna just hit the moon and call it a day. We'll put off our relays till next week. Okay, so this is the Munar 2, which clearly is not going to survive this thing, but oh well, that's okay. All right. Oh, whoa. Check your staging. Okay, so that's the engine, then that, then that, then that. Okay, now that makes more sense. Okay, let's do it. No science involved in this. This is just going to be purely just to finish off this contract. And then next week we'll put some stuff in orbit about the moon. And we will collect that science that we oh so preciously like. I'm glad though that I unlocked that better probe core, or not the better probe core, those little, oh I'm sorry, I noticed my heading was not right and then I started going the wrong direction. That's not particularly smart. Just trying to get this to 90 degrees. Sure, that's pretty close. I noticed that my what was I trying to say? I was trying to say I'm glad I got those small rocket parts. I'm a big fan of little small rocket parts. They make me happy. Let's cut the throttle down. I think that's what I'm going to do with for now on. Not play around with getting the throttle ideal, but just give it a knock and then let it just go on its way up. Its heading now is 91 degrees. It's going to be close enough. The moon's a big target. Okay, let's do a little bit of time warping. And we're getting close. Oh, wait, we've just hit 50 kilometers, so let's stage that fairing. That fairing was not on clamshell. I built that really fast and never changed it. And again, we're just going to go for an 80 by 80 parking orbit. There we go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Guess what I did? I hit Z instead of X. We can extend this antenna while we're thinking about it. Let's time warp up to apoapsis. Okay, and again, well, minus 300 kilometers on the periapsis, so yeah, we're about 24 seconds from apoapsis. Let's start burning. Honestly, won't take much. I really got to get careful with these ignitions. See, this thing only has 3 ignitions left. And by the way, this is not guaranteed that it's going to blow up at 0. It could go longer than that, and it could go shorter than that. It's just the probability of the engine failing continues to increase as it gets closer to 0 on those ignitions. So I guess got to not be so stockish in my insertions. Okay, there we go. A little sloppy in the orbit, but that's okay. It's 90 by 85 kilometers. Let's smack the moon. We'll go give the moon a smack. This thing's overbuilt because I really sort of turn everything off. There. This thing is a little bit overbuilt. Oh, we're coming right up to the right time. Let's see if we can just do this quick. Boom, I'm calling it. I'm calling it. Let's just do it. Slap that onto prograde. Get ready to do this thing. This is only my second thing to enter into the moon's SOI. Well, I guess it hasn't really done it yet. The first one was Munar 1 from a couple of episodes ago, or a couple of weeks ago. Boom. And all it did was a flyby, and this one is going to do an impact. So I've yet to get anything in orbit around the moon. But hopefully soon. Oh, I love little probes. I'm so pumped to do relays, but it's just going to be for next week, looking at the time. But now that we got all these little parts, it's going to make things a lot nicer. But hey, you know, we did 3 missions, 3 contracts. That was pretty productive. I shouldn't count my chickens just yet. This isn't done just yet. Things can still go wrong. I know I'll end up with the first stage still in orbit. I'll be honest, I'm kind of just deleting those things when people aren't looking. Here, I'll give you my rationale for why I feel okay deleting them, other than I'm just a cheater by nature. Boom, that's a hit, man. There we go. That's a kerschmuck. Yeah, so it was pointed out, let me actually show the debris. There's more than one bit of debris here. Back here. That this debris that I just let go of, here's this one that I just let go of, but there's more of it here, is, let's set it as a target. That will let you see the orbit. Is still left in orbit. That's the stage I just lost, but, and here's my rationale, its periapsis is close to the atmosphere. And in the real world, the atmosphere doesn't just suddenly end when you get to that Kármán line of, what is it, 100 kilometers, I think the Kármán line is in the real world. So, you know, the atmosphere still extends above that. For instance, the International Space Station, which orbits at an altitude of 400 kilometers, is constantly in need of boosts. Let's do this time warping while I talk about this. Warp to here. The International Space Station is constantly in need of boosts in order to keep it from falling out of orbit. So my rationale is these things that are left in these elliptical orbits with their periapsis still fairly low would eventually deorbit anyway, so I feel perfectly justified in deleting the debris later to clean up my skies. That's what I'm doing. And yeah, I don't know. Bit of a cheat, I know, but what are you gonna do? It's my game, man. 100 kilometers is the Kármán line, yeah. So I guess in KSP, the Kármán line is 70 kilometers. Okay, we're gonna, Moon's getting real big. We're gonna get to watch a crash. Here we go. You know what? Oh my gosh. I think I might have left this too late, but there's still 884 meters per second left in this thing. Technically, here we go. I should be able to land. I think I'm going too fast to cancel this out. I don't know. How far are we? Oh no, but if... Oh, I don't want to mess up this contract though. Oh, where's Kerbal Engineer? By the time I get Kerbal Engineer going, it's going to be too late. Oh, I don't have a engineer chip on this thing, so I can't use your Kerbal Engineer. I don't care. This might be doable. I don't think I got enough thrust, though. Oh, that's 100%. Like, technically speaking, this is enough delta V to be able to land. But I got me a feeling I'm already too late to be doing the suicide burn as it is. Because we are coming in pretty quick. But who knows? Now, if I do soft land, this might mess this up. I mean, what constitutes an impact? I don't know. I don't think this is going to go well. But one's got to try. One's got to try. This is not going to go well. We're going to hit the surface before our velocity zeroes out. If I started this a little bit earlier, but like right now my speed is just about at 400 meters per second. And oh no, now I can see I don't have enough delta V. So it doesn't matter here. Let's cut this. Wasn't going to work. Maybe some of it will survive. Definitely not. Oh, what was I thinking about? It wasn't going to work. There wasn't enough delta V to do it by the end anyway. It accelerated too much on its way down. Even if I started to burn earlier, it wasn't going to be. But what I do have is a satisfied contract. We did successfully impact into the moon. No, we're not. No. Let's close this. I don't want to leave here just yet. So the contract is complete. We've done our second thing around the moon. We've managed to make ourselves a small crater. And hopefully next week what we'll be doing is putting ourselves some relays around the moon, doing some mapping of the moon, getting some real science being done around the moon But until then, I'm going to thank you and hope to see you again next time. See ya.